All right, so let's talk about that uh, explicit racist idiot Steve King in Iowa. He loses to what is his guy's name? Feinstein or Fernstein? Fernstein?
Randy Feenstra.
Feenstra. And now you characterize it as it's the first time that somebody to the right within a Republican primary has lost. In a long time, or at least the most high profile. But we should also remind people, right? This guy Feenstra, he thinks COVID is a hoax. That it's his rhetoric is pretty xenophobic towards the Chinese. He was sort of running on the fact that it seems to me that King was no longer effective because he was incompetently racist, as opposed to just being racist, and therefore could no longer sit on committees, and therefore was not sufficiently supportive of Trump, or at least effectively supportive of Trump. Is that a fair characterization? I mean, what am I missing here? That I guess you could say like being more explicitly racist as opposed to just like supporting racist policies. Or a racist in the presidency is, I guess marginally to the left of Steve King, but
Yeah, I think that's fair. I didn't say that he was George Romney or Nelson Rockefeller, but he is marginally to the left of Steve King. If you look at that race, it really it wasn't explicitly about King being too conservative, but it's kind of hard to, I'm not a big fan of ignoring the subtext. And the subtext of this race was Steve King is so far on the conservative fringe that he's an ineffective congressman. I will say it is notable that King, had been stripped of his committee slots. He really wasn't able to raise a lot of money, had very little establishment support. Had this record of really, being, again, at the very fringe of the right wing, still came within 10% of winning.
Right.
And so, it's, I think as a net, it's, for anyone, it's good that he's gone. There's one less voice introducing the very fringe of the right wing, the Chuck Johnsons of the world, into the halls of Congress, and that I think that's still a net good, even if Randy Feenstra will vote the same way. But yeah, it shows you that it hasn't been cured. They haven't cured themselves of the of the milieu that gives rise to someone like King.
Yeah, they won't. I don't think they're going to cure themselves of that for a long, long time. But is this one of those things where careful what you wish for? Because now, was there a chance that that guy J.K. Schulten, is that his name, Schulten?
J.D. Schulten.
J.D. Schulten could have won against King, less of a chance against Feenstra.
Yeah, Schulten came within 5% in 2018. In a presidential year, it's possible. It seems very unlikely that he would win just because Democrats don't need that seat. So they probably won't spend a ton of resources trying to win it. And especially after the next round of redistricting in Iowa, it seems likely that seat will probably get more conservative. And so it just doesn't seem like Schulten, because he's run against King, because he's, he has a big profile, he'll still be able to raise money. But I think he'll, the seat was on the board, but it was never really something that Democrats needed. So the net benefit of having Steve King out of Congress, I think, outweighs, whatever marginal benefit there was to having J.D. Schulten potentially keep that seat for one term.
Okay, fair enough.